I think we need start now. First of all, thanks for all attendees for accepting our invitation to attend this roundtable. We really appreciate your time. We really appreciate your efforts to attend this meeting, and we hope that it will be fruitful roundtable that will assist all of us to take his correct decision to start his business in Egypt. I hope that my voice is clear for all attendees, and I hope that everything is okay with everyone. Okay. First of all, let me introduce myself.
Everything is perfectly fine.
And our firm also. This is Muhammad Rabia Saadani from Saadani Khalifa Law Firm. We are an international law firm based in Egypt. And it's really a great pleasure for us to arrange for this roundtable so we could reply to all inquiries of the expected investor and association and governmental authorities involved in the investment in Egypt. And we have in this meeting a lot of esteemed attendees that will surely assist in replying the inquiries of the investors. Some of them are outside Egypt, and some of them are responsible attendees in Egypt, responsible parties in Egypt. Like we have the trade representative, the Russian trade representative office, and we have also GAFI, and we have also GAFI attending with us. Please. So we hope that it will be a fruitful meeting for everyone of us, and we'll be more than happy to reply to all inquiries, whether during this roundtable or later on by receiving your inquiries to our email address. And we will make sure that you will have our contact details so you can contact us without any problem at any time. And we are dedicated to reply to your inquiries and to provide free legal consultation for all the concerned person attending this roundtable. Of course, now we are in Egypt and also in Saudi Arabia. I'm speaking about our firm has its office in Egypt and in Saudi Arabia, but today is only dedicated to investment in Egypt. So Egypt needs more than 100 million human beings living in one place with different levels. Thanks for your understanding. Let us continue our roundtable. So by coming to Egypt, of course, you have like 100 million customer is ready to purchase your product to assist you in even starting your investment in Egypt. You will have a well-educated person that are ready to work with you with a really competitive salaries in comparison to other employees around the world. So by coming to Egypt, you will have a lot of facilities. You will have a lot of facilities that with very low prices that you can enjoy with. Now in Egypt, there are a lot of mega projects regarding transportation and other sectors. And as you know, transportation is one of the main things that that's very important for all investors when they are coming to a country, because without transportation, they will not be able to export their products outside Egypt and doing their business mostly. So if you're just checking about what's happened in Egypt in the latest 10 years, you'll find a lot of opportunities. And yes, there are a lot of problems also raised, but the government is always working to solve it. And even regarding the issue of lack of dollars, now it's approximately solved. And the government is deeply working on it to settle it. Yes, there is still some obstacles to transfer money outside Egypt, but it becomes easier than before. And I'm sure that after a small period of time, after a short period of time, will be totally solved. There are a lot of big companies want to come to Egypt, and as you know, for Russians, as an example, they had big markets in Europe, but now it's closed for them. So we always thinking that Egypt is the best place to reallocate the business and to start new business in Egypt. So you can continue cooperate with your clients in Europe because you will work under the Egyptian flag. So you can avoid any sanction or any problem or any obstacles that you are facing with your client around the world. And you can even take the label of Made in Egypt. I know that the label of Made in Egypt also is really important for all manufacturers, and it's not a big deal that all people are thinking about. And to be honest, for Made in Egypt, and always I'm receiving even inquiries. What is the percentage that we must meet in order to get the label of Made in Egypt and stuff like this? Actually, Egypt is very easy regarding this matter because it depend on what is the component of the local products. What is this component is available in Egypt or not? If it's not available in Egypt, then it's okay. You can import without any problem. You can you cannot you will not be required to meet certain percentage. So it depends on the availability of component of your product that you intend to produce in Egypt. This is in general. In addition to that, Egypt also need another. I appreciate if all attendees will mute the others. Okay. This is in general about Made in Egypt. In addition to that, there is another which is Made in Egypt, which is mainly related to the quality of the product. It's a certificate that the Egyptian government always granting for factories that meeting certain requirements. This is a general requirements about how even you can get the label of Made in Egypt. And of course, I'm sure that all attendees will have a lot of inquiries about this topic. So we have no worries at all to receive all inquiries regarding this matter, and we will surely be happy to assist. As you know, some of the attendees can speak English while the other can speak Russian. So I will give the speech now to Dr. Olga, so to summary and translate what I have just discussed with all the attendees.
Добрый день. Мы хотели бы прежде всего представить юридическую фирму Садани Халифа, которая существует на рынке с 2014 года, и стандартный перечень юридических услуг мы оказываем. В частности, вчера мы были на бизнес-миссии здесь, в Каире, и тоже представили нашу юридическую компанию. Это litigation, арбитраж, инкорпорация компаний, то есть стандартный набор услуг юридических, которые мы предоставляем. В данный момент доктор Мухаммед что пояснял, экономическая обстановка в Египте несколько усложнилась, скажем так, с прошлыми годами по сравнению, но все живы, все здоровы, то есть бизнес проходит, и одно из преимуществ Египта, как также было, как мы поясняли, это является большое количество, скажем так, это большой рынок, и поэтому скажем так, он еще не насыщен в той мере, в которой, так сказать, насыщены рынки Европы, поэтому всегда можно найти клиентов и расшириться компания, скажем так, и транспортная, и логистика, то есть развитие транспорта в Египте последние годы показывает, что Египет становится тем хабом на Ближнем Востоке, о котором, я думаю, сами жители Египта и мечтают, чтобы Египет стал, так сказать, развитой экономикой. Также мы хотели, и мы, ответив более подробно на сделано в Египте и с гордостью сделано в Египте, эти два сертификата, которые отличаются друг от друга разными требованиями, поэтому мы об этом рассмотрим чуть попозже. И сейчас я хотела представить и дать to give a floor to the Russian Trade Representative Office in Cairo. Mr. Nikita Ganja will tell us also the sharing the experience and yes, to welcome the guests. Никита, тогда можете на русском, а потом на английском себя перевести.
Well, I think I will firstly speak in English.
Okay.
In order not to waste a lot of time for translation, and after this I will shortly speak in Russian. Well, many thanks, Olga, and many thanks, Dr. Mohammed, for inviting us today. The Russian trade representative in Egypt, Mr. Alexey, unfortunately, due to another event, was unable to take part in our meeting today. So I wish a productive work to the participant and, of course, the organizers of this video conference. We are glad to work together and take part in such events. And firstly, let me say a few words about us. I'll remind that our office in Egypt operates since 1956. Our system of trade missions abroad, Russian trade missions abroad, operates under the Russian Ministry of Industry and Trade. This makes easier our relations with Russian industry and allows us to coordinate better with industry specialists. Geographically, we cover today more than 65 countries, our main and promising trading partners, including Egypt, of course. Well, I won't say a lot of things, about why Egypt, Africa, and Middle East in general are important for us, because everyone who decided to attend our meeting today, I think, understands the attractiveness of the Egyptian market. Our Russian-Egyptian relations are on the rise today. Trade turnover is growing, 20-30% year on year. For example, in 2023, we together exceeded $7 billion. And nowadays, everything says that this year we will grow again in our turnover. Our Russian products, for the most part of them, are competitive here in Egypt. They win in terms of prices, and they are absolutely in compliance with advanced international standards. So Russian suppliers have good reputation in general here in Egypt. Export institutions that we formed in Russia, including trade missions abroad, including export support centers in Russian regions, including the Russian Export Center and other organizations, are always ready to provide a wide variety of mechanisms, including financial support, non-financial support, consulting, and so on. At the same time, though we are committed to work as quickly as possible with our exporters, there are usually some narrow issues where our help is not enough, where legal advice is needed. And actually, in order to emphasize the importance of working with every side, we invite companies and Russian companies to participate in events such as today's event. So from our side, we see that those enterprises who are committed to work with us, with trade representation, with our expert support institutions, with country experts, and of course, for sure, with legal consultants like Sadani Khalifa, are more likely to successfully implement their projects in Egypt. Surely, the information on investing in Egypt, which we are going to speak about today, is important for all companies that want to cooperate with Africa, that consider Egypt as a target market for localization or of production here, or even export one more time abroad, so kind of conducting export procedures. Well, on my behalf and on behalf of the trade representation of Russia and Egypt, let us wish you again productive work today. Now I will tell a few words for non-English speakers. Коллеги, поскольку организаторы сообщили, что есть участники только с русским языком, да, я скажу, наверное, несколько слов только не так долго, частично повторяясь. Не буду долго останавливаться на моментах, почему эта страна и почему вообще ближневосточное направление нам интересны, в целом для нас важны, потому что, как мы предполагаем, мы исходим из того, что все, кто решили посетить сегодняшний вебинар, либо уже понимают привлекательность египетского рынка, либо уже с ним работают. Российско-египетские отношения сейчас на подъеме, товарооборот растет двузначными темпами, он прибавляет больше миллиарда в год. В прошлом году, к примеру, мы прибавили миллиард. Все идет к тому, что в этом году мы вырастем снова. Наша продукция здесь в Египте конкурентна, она выигрывает в ценовой борьбе с западными предложениями. Логистика часто более удобная, чем у многих стран. Репутация тоже хорошая. Те инструменты поддержки экспортеров, которые сегодня в России сформированы, это вот как раз система торгпресс, про которую я англоязычным коллегам чуть рассказал, региональные ЦП, РЭЦ и другие организации продолжают свои механизмы поддержки совершенствовать, там, финансового, информационно-консультационного содействия и так далее. Вот. Но в то же время, несмотря на то, что все институты поддержки экспортеров настроены на максимально оперативную отработку всех задач, бывают вопросы узкие, вопросы тонкие, юридические, где нашей помощи часто недостаточно, где нужны продолжительные юридические консультации. Это и спорные ситуации с египетской стороной, да и с любой другой страной, и тонкости открытия компаний с отдельными видами деятельности, например, и другие, скажем так, узкие аспекты работы. Поэтому мы призываем активно работать со всеми носителями компетенций, с нами, с институтами поддержки, с экспертами по стране и, конечно, с юридическими консультантами, с теми, с которыми вам комфортно работать. Сегодняшняя тема про инвестирование интересна будет, безусловно, для всех компаний, которые хотят с Египтом и с Африкой сотрудничать по-крупному, кто рассматривает Египет в качестве целевого рынка для применения собственных компетенций или использования выдающегося положения страны для того, чтобы локализовать свое производство, для локализации разного порядка и последующего реэкспорта, например, в Африку или на Ближний Восток. В случае заинтересованности в дополнительных контактах с нами нас легко найти. Нас можно найти на всех площадках поддержки экспортеров России, нас легко найти на сайте Минпромторга России, мы всегда открыты. Еще раз удачи. So many thanks again. Many thanks, Olga, and many thanks, Dr. Muhammad. I will give a floor to other participants. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Nikita. We really appreciate your valuable information that you kindly provided about Egypt. Now we'll give the speech to Mr. Sanzhar, the trade representative of the Republic of Kazakhstan.
Hello, everybody. First, to express my appreciation to Salani and Khalifa and let me brief shortly about Kazakhstan and Egyptian trade cooperation with some details. Over the past year, the turnover between our countries amounted not so large as our Russian partners. We had only $48.3 million US. In January, February of this year, it's amounted only $22 million US, which was 46% is lower than the same period of previous year. The main export goods from Kazakhstan to Egypt was sulfur, road and construction equipment, other plastic products, ferrous metal products, and that's it. The main goods imported from Kazakhstan, from Egypt to Kazakhstan was mixtures of aromatic substances, finished binders, medical packaged products, fresh fruits, especially the citrus fruits, sanitary and ceramic products, bread and flour confectionery products. For the last 20 years between our countries, unfortunately, we didn't have any serious direct investments. And these figures absolutely don't correspond to the potential of our economies. And we want to increase turnover between our countries in several times in coming years, because we have every reason for that. To reach this goal, we need, as by my point of view, to promote the activity between the joint intergovernmental commission, joint commission, which aim to give new impetus to our relations in economic sphere. The sixth in Astana, in the capital of Kazakhstan, at the end of this year. We also strongly need to have strong legal and regulatory framework, and we're working on that. We have some draft of the agreements between our country, including in the framework of Eurasian Commission. Thirdly, it's necessary to promote the activities of business council between our countries. In this context, we count on the activity of the Egyptian business circle in Kazakhstan. For example, by my information, today we have 70 joint companies registered in Kazakhstan, and most of them operates in the real sector of the economy, like agriculture, tourism, construction, and industry. And unfortunately, I don't have any figures regarding such joint ventures registered in Egypt. And in this case, I appreciate if Gafi will share with us this information. I consider to expedient to continue work on holding business forums that will facilitate the establishment of direct contacts between manufacturers and potential buyers of two countries. And of course, exchanging information and discussion of the details of export contracts. For example, business forum which we had in Sharm el-Sheikh a couple of years ago, where we signed 14 framework agreements on cooperation between Kazakhstan and Egyptian private companies, were concluded and became a good start for transferring the event to regular basis. The next step is very important for us to open the direct flights between capitals of two countries, which also will give additional impetus to increasing business contacts. Regarding the tourism sector, for example, for last year, tourists from Kazakhstan visited Egypt was amounted 144,000 people. And we're going to increase this number within a couple of years. In this regard, focusing on the future and relying on the positive experience and cooperation between the business communities of two countries, I hope we will continue in this work. Thank you very much. If you will need the translation, I think I can share it in this chat or through Sadani and Khalifa company. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your response. We really appreciate your words, and we hope that in the near future there will be a lot of investment from Kazakhstan. And this is even the aim of this roundtable, to let the concerned people know about the investment in Egypt and what is the advantage to come to Egypt, and to assist them in settling any problem and settling any obstacles that they may face while they are coming to Egypt. So thank you for your speech. We really appreciate it. And we are not sure whether Mr. Rav Bravin from the Indian embassy was attended or not. So we are not sure. So if he didn't,
Mr. Praveen, or maybe there is another representative from the Indian embassy. If someone is here, could you please wave a hand? I mean, in Zoom, so we know that you are here.
Okay, so it seems that he didn't attend yet. So we hope that during this roundtable he will surely attend. Now we will give the speech to Mr. Ashish from the Russian Asian Legal Association. And actually we have a long cooperation with the Russian Asian Legal Association. They are very active, and we always appreciate their great efforts to build the long-term cooperation between Egypt and Russia and India. So I'm sure that his valuable words will add a lot of valuable information to this roundtable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed from Sydney, and Khalifa. I hope I'm audible, everyone.
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you. So, though I represent India in this roundtable conference, but at the same time, I am in Russia right now, sitting in Moscow. I have my flight back to India today in the evening. I'm very thankful for Sadni and Khalifa for organizing this roundtable conference, because this year the big summit is going to happen, conducted in Russia. I was invited by the Chamber of Commerce and Industry to speak on specific regulations in terms of what is the development that is going to occur in terms of its a specific. Just a minute, give me a moment. Development of BRICS countries and strategical role of Egypt in changing scenarios is going to be my topic today. But we need to understand the crucial role of BRICS today in the changing scenario of the world structure. It started with an international organization of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Later on, with the passage of time, other countries are being added to the group, and this is taking more form of a more stronger institution that could be the future course of being a well-structured and developed organization in the coming time. India is a major component and part of BRICS today, and we support BRICS countries to the utmost extent with all possible trade transactions, as well as strategical political track record. We need to understand that BRICS can be characterized as a quasi-organization with an increasing institutional building. BRICS has a capacity to influence political and economic relations in the world. And that is what BRICS countries are absolutely doing, because in my constrained opinion, and the capacity of the president for the youth wing for Russian Asian Legal Association, I feel that BRICS is the future. I would like to come down to the first category of my PowerPoint presentation, which will rather talk about. Olga, could you come to the second slide, please? Spasiba. So I'll be focusing that in what manner Egypt as a country is going to get affected and is going to be rather promoted in terms of being a part of the BRICS country. The BRICS countries definitely aspire to create an alternative currency for the global trade, and which is the demand of the time at present. It has to be potentially backed up by the gold to lessen reliance on the US dollar for pricing essential commodities in global markets, according to the bloc's website. And so there's a requirement of weaning the economy of the dollar. And if BRICS currency, which the BRICS countries are actually on board and trying to have it, try to giving it a shape of a practical reality, if this happens, it will be a very good news for the BRICS countries to operate. The dethronement of the dollar could benefit countries like Egypt, which has faced a critical shortage of US dollar for about a year and a half. Egypt as a country has been facing a shortage, and by adopting to an alternative currency measure, Egypt and countries like Egypt could potentially address its estimate to 17 to 20 billion financing gap forecasted until 2026. So BRICS countries are primarily looking for, in order to help those countries which are actually have been facing critical shortage of the US dollars. My next idea of the slide that I'll be focusing on would be attracting new investments. Now, this is a very important call for the BRICS countries to attract new investments across the globe in order to potentially develop its trading transactions. Now, membership in the BRICS could open doors. Egypt has now recently been made a member to the BRICS association, and it will open doors to substantial investment in the Egyptian economy. The BRICS countries are not only focused on the first 5 countries, but also we are giving equal respect to each of the country members that is there in the BRICS organization. And we are trying to develop data from the Central Agency for Public Mobilization and Statistics. And if we see the data, the investments from BRICS nations in Egypt surged. It has taken a rise from 610 million in the fiscal year from 2021 to 891.2 million in 2021 to 2022. So this, in a one-year gap of a 45.9% increase, shows substantial commitment of the BRICS countries towards Egypt. Now, Egypt has joined the BRICS New Development Bank in March, established in 2015 by BRICS countries. It had happened in like 2015. And this institution is a multilateral development bank aimed at mobilizing resources for infrastructure and sustainable development projects within the BRICS. So Egypt, as a country, has a major role to play, not only in the trade transactions amongst the BRIC countries, but also they have to focus in terms of their own economic development with the support of the BRICS countries. A major outlook is we'll come to my next slide, Olga, would be, I can see that, yeah, thank you, third point. Maybe next slide, please. Yeah, appreciate it. So this possibility of boosting a mutual trade is very important. Egypt has a considerable volume of trade with BRICS members going on at present. Whether we talk about Russia, we talk about China, we talk about India. And with its developing economy, Egypt could expand its exports to these countries, capitalizing on trade agreements like the Common Market of the South to become a hub connecting Africa, Asia, and South America. Now, trade exchange between Egypt and the BRICS countries has been increasing from 2022 significantly till 2024. And this is of prime importance that we have to look forward to. I'll request Olga to bring the roundtable group on the next slide, please. Now, this is also very specific. This is important information, I believe, that Egypt, Russia, and India have been previously discussing trading wheat and rice along with other strategic commodities in Egyptian pounds rubles and rupees. By joining the BRICS, such talks could come to a practical reality. Egypt is expected to import almost 12 million tons of wheat during the current financial year, which has already been started now. Last year in 2023 it has been started, and it appears that Food and Agriculture Organization released last month, based on the Ministry of Supplies data, the country imports 60% of its basic food needs. So this is what the idea is. The idea is to bring BRICS countries together, not only in terms of economic and political relationship, but also in terms of providing basic infrastructure and in the development and basic growth of its own essence. I'd like to conclude with my last slide, to the extent that BRICS, sorry, I just have water. And BRICS is an institution. BRICS is the future, and BRICS is definitely aiming at. Hello.
मैंने जी वो बोल देना कि वो कनेक्ट हो गया मीटिंग, कल ही मैंने कनेक्ट बोल दो उनको। हाँ बस बोल देना कि वो कनेक्टेड पे वो आगे ऑलरेडी लाइन पे है।
Okay, I'd like to give the concluding remarks. I think someone is joining from the Indian Embassy. I'd like to give the concluding remarks to the extent that BRICS happens to the future in the global and has to act as a global player in the economy, in the political influence of the world trade system, and of course in the international affairs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ashish. It was a pleasure for us to get this information about BRICS. So we are becoming more international because it's not the first time we are making this round table, and we see more and more participants, and even the topics for the round tables are coming from the attendees. So meaning, if there is a concern for any particular, let's say, topic, and people would like to know more information, we are ready. So we are here for you. And let us now translate into Russian a little bit what was said by Mr. Ashish. And let me remind you that he is a founding partner of the Indian law firm, and at the same time member of the Asian Russian Association. Сейчас мы говорили о БРИКС, и БРИКС...
Спасибо большое.
Да, спасибо большое. БРИКС почему стал предметом сейчас вот дискуссии на круглом столе? Потому что Египет недавно присоединился к БРИКС, и фактически презентация, которую нам сейчас мистер Ашиш озвучивал, показывает те бенефиты, those benefits, какие получает Египет, те преимущества от вступления в БРИКС. В частности, вкратце мы сказали, что позволит, так как идут внутренние платежи, идет, скажем так, некоторый отказ от платежей в долларах, то дает большой потенциал Египту, в том числе за счет платежей, скажем так, в местной валюте, отказаться от платежей в долларах и уменьшить таким образом зависимость от доллара и свой долг, который сейчас перед Международным валютным фондом составляет порядка 6 миллиардов долларов. Также в БРИКС есть некоторые институты, в частности, есть New Development Bank, это новый банк развития, который в том числе направлен на упрощение платежей между странами. И что важно в презентации, это food security, and you know that all of us are living in the times of, let's say, in the times of different challenges, and food security is a very important topic, also in the time of the climate change. And we have this, у нас есть между Египтом, Россией и Индией, так сказать, договоренности о ведении вот торговли риса пшеницы и тех основных товаров, которые составляют, вот, скажем так, ну, потребительскую корзину, то есть идем к теме, очень важной теме продовольственной безопасности. И сейчас я передаю слово доктору Мухаммеду, который представит нашего следующего спикера.
Now we will give the speech to Ms. Aya Hussein. Ms. Aya Hussein is a representative of Gafi. Gafi is responsible authority here based in Egypt, responsible for promoting the investment in Egypt. So we really appreciate her attendance to this roundtable. And for all attendees, I hope that all of you will feel free to ask directly any inquiries to her, and I'm sure that she will be more than happy to assist in replying to your kind inquiries. Ms. Aya, I hope that you are hearing us.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. And I really appreciate everything that has been said during this meeting. Let me share my screen.
You have access to share your screen, no problem at all.
Yes, I'm sharing it. Okay. Can you see?
Yes, sure.
Okay, great. So I couldn't agree more with what everything has been said throughout this roundtable. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Aya Hussein. I am the investment promotion file manager at Gafi, responsible mainly for some of the CIS region, some of the countries there, as well as Australia and New Zealand. And my colleague, Ms. May, is responsible for Russia. However, she's currently in another meeting, so she won't be able to join us. I'm going to be giving an introduction about an overview about Egypt, our economic situation, some of the incentives and the legal schemes that could be adopted during establishing the company. So first of all, let's talk about our FDI outlook. We have achieved the highest rate of FDI throughout the last 15 years, with a net FDI of over $10 billion last year, which is a 12% increase from the year before. And as you can see from the graph, there has been some fluctuations, of course, during the revolution of 2011, and then another one in 2021 after the COVID outbreak. However, as you can see, the recovery has been quite smooth, and with a forecast of more increase next year. This number actually has put us as the largest recipient of FDI in Africa and the second largest in the Middle East, with a total established companies last year of over 32,000 companies and over 1,500 expansion
Mrs.
projects.
Aya, sorry for interrupting you, because we have a request for the Russian companies for translation. Why? Because your information is super important and know it's from the first hands.
Okay.
So it's totally appreciated. Let me just summarize what you just said in the Russian language. Just 1 minute. Сейчас с нами находится...
Okay, sorry.
Да, no problem.
Sure.
Представитель Гафи и миссис Эя Хусейн, который непосредственно расскажет о тех стимулах, которые есть, ну, как бы в Египте для производства и что вообще представляет собой Египет как, скажем так, как юрисдикция. И вот слайд, который видите сейчас перед вами, показывает стабильный рост ВВП 3,8%, да, то есть цифры, я думаю, мы все видим, да, и на русском языке. Потом мы видим, что у нас есть также и рост иностранных прямых инвестиций. В 2022-2023 году составлял 10 миллиардов долларов. И также мы видим, что также есть рост инвестиций в не нефтяной сектор и Да, все это видите на этом слайде, который показывает вам текущую экономическую ситуацию, в том числе на данный момент по статистике 32 тысячи 447 компаний, которые учреждены в Египте, и постоянно идет рост инкорпорации компаний. Mrs. A, I have translated. Thank you so much.
Okay. So as you can see from the map, Egypt is located in the northeast of Africa, which again contributes to our competitive advantages and infrastructure that is we are currently promoting for. So why or how did we reach these numbers that were mentioned before? First of all, we have a very large trained labor force with over 100 million of population, of which over 50% are under the age of 30. You can translate. You're going to translate now?
No, please go on. I will translate after like some time.
Okay. Also, we provide political stability, which has been quite stable since 2011. We offer a very large consumer market. As I said before, we are a population of over 100 million. And if the companies decided to use one of our several FTAs, the free trade agreements, they can benefit from getting access to over 1.2 billion consumers across the globe. We also, as Mr. Rabia said a while ago, we have also developed our infrastructure quite dramatically in the past few years with the road development. We developed almost 12,000 kilometers of roads and 11,000 kilometers of railway in the past few years. And we currently have 15 ports and 25 airports. We also we have competitive tax rate with a flat rate of 22.5%, which is quite competitive in the region, as well as a diversified economy. Egypt does not rely on a certain sector or a certain aspect for its economy. It's quite diversified. We rely on industry, agriculture, tourism. It's quite diversified, which is strengthening the economy itself.
И сейчас мы видим перед нами слайд, где мы видим, так сказать, насколько competitive Египет находится, насколько он благоприятно географически расположен, также близость, и, как мы знаем, к рынкам он находится, да, такая, скажем так, диверсификация экономики происходит. Также постоянно идет строительство, и мы видим, те, кто живет в Египте, просто идет грандиозное строительство, построена New Capital, построена новая столица, постоянно строят мосты, то, что облегчает транспортную нагрузку на сам Каир между, скажем так, различными частями Египта. И также миссис Эй подчеркнула нам, что, как мы уже знаем, что это и очень насыщенный рынок в плане того, что labor force доступен и квалифицированный, и среднеквалифицированный персонал, то есть очень легко найти, скажем так, трудовые ресурсы для своих компаний. И также мы хотели подчеркнуть, что и, скажем так, политическая стабильность присутствует, и постоянно, хоть и небольшой, но есть рост экономики. Mrs. A, can you please continue?
Okay. Yes. So these are some and exemption of incorporation contract fees for over the period of 5 years. As for the special incentives, we have basically, or the government has basically divided Egypt into 2 zones, Zone A and Zone B, where Zone A is the least developed locations in Egypt, and Zone B is the areas with potential growth. Zone A would benefit from 50% off of the capex, as for example, in the Galala, in the new administrative capital, some of the strategic projects are Zone A. Other than that, will benefit from 30% of the capex. As for the cash incentive, this has been recently approved like a few months before, and it is basically you can get 35 to 55% off for the value paid of the project income tax for industrial activities, given that the injection is in US dollars. So, for example, if the capital in, sorry? I didn't quite get that. Okay, so if the injection of the capital was, let's say, 75% in US dollars, you can benefit from 35% off. If the injection was 100% in US dollars, you can benefit from 55% off. Okay, you can translate.
Yes, we can hear. Now we will translate the recent information that you just mentioned. И также мы видим непосредственно те инициативы по инвестициям, которые вводятся в Египте. Их можно разделить на 3 группы, скажем так, инициатив. Это общие, специальные и непосредственно кэш-инициативы, то есть вот вы видите их перед собой, непосредственно процентное соотношение. В случае общих, так сказать, мер поддержки мы видим, что идет 2%, скажем так, освобождение в течение 5 лет от exemptions for incorporation fees, от тех стоимостей, которые идут на инкорпорацию компаний. Потом у нас есть специальные, так сказать, инициативы, которые составляют less developed and areas. Let me. Aya, can you please just, Mrs. Aya, clarify? Less developed, you mean less developed areas in Egypt, and or what do you mean by less developed?
Yes, the less developed is, for example, it doesn't have infrastructure, or for example, it is a strategic project, as I mentioned, like the new administrative capital.
Для менее развитой части имеется в виду, что там не очень развита инфраструктура в Египте, поэтому идет 50%, а там, где идет части с потенциалом для развития, мы видим, соответственно, 30%. И также у нас идет непосредственно инициативы cash incentives, и также они, так сказать, в течение 10 лет происходят. Mrs. A, can you please continue?
Okay. So these are the targeted sectors that are mentioned in Egypt's vision for 2030. As you can see, there is an extreme focus on the green hydrogen or the energy sector in general, and this has been reflected on the actual ground. We currently have the largest solar farm worldwide, which is located in Bimban in Aswan. It's a prime location where the sun is quite in the optimum position. Okay, I'm done with this slide. Could you translate, please?
Mrs. A, so you finished the presentation, or you will continue more?
No, I will continue, but this is for this slide. I'm done with this slide only, so you can check.
Okay, no problem.
for this one.
You can continue. I will summarize a little bit later.
Okay. So we do offer several guarantees, of which the main ones is that we provide equal treatment for foreign and local investors. We do not differentiate between investors according to their nationality. All investments are equal to the eyes of GAFI and the government. And of course, we do guarantee the right of the company to repatriate their dividends. Should I continue?
Just to make a small break for translation. И до этого мы также упоминали еще Асван, в который также, как пример, скажем так, территория Египта, куда можно инвестировать, находится он на самом юге. И также Египет следует международной, так сказать, политике и международным нормам права. И мы видим здесь равное, так сказать, отношение к иностранным и к местным производителям. И также возможна репатриация дивидендов с инвестиций в Египте. Yes.
Okay. So yes, sure. To define GAFI, we are the sole governmental arm responsible for mandating, administrating, and promoting for investment and investment opportunities in Egypt. We do promote for all investment opportunities in Egypt. It's not just the ones that are under our jurisdiction. We do offer free counseling to companies, whether they would like. We can give them advice if which legal scheme would be better for them, which location would be better for the project. We can coordinate meetings with concerned entities. We do also have a matchmaking unit, which is responsible for matchmaking companies or getting partnerships from between foreign and local partners. This is what we do in a nutshell. And as I think I saw it in the agenda regarding the golden license, we currently have approved the golden license, which is a single license that's granted to national and strategic projects. It gives basically a comprehensive approval on the setup, the operation, and the management of the project. And it includes all the needed licenses for the setup of the business in 20 days. Without any need to go to any of the entities. Actually, the number on the side is quite old. We currently have almost 40 golden licenses already approved and given to companies. So basically, the steps are as follows. The investor comes to GAFI and applies for the golden license with all the necessary paperwork. And then the relevant ministries will be informed. And we do have a regular Council of Ministers dedicated to the golden license, which will grant the approval to the company through GAFI. And we will follow up with the company to ensure that everything is set up correctly.
Okay, let us translate it into Russian language. И также здесь мы говорили о Golden License. Это, скажем так, она переводится как «золотая лицензия». Это общее одобрение, упрощенное одобрение больших инвестиционных проектов. Mrs. I will also prepare a presentation on Golden License in the Russian language. So we will distribute also to the Russian-speaking audience it later on in the Russian language. Perfect. To save the time. I will just translate it briefly. Сейчас было одобрено 40 лицензий уже ГАФИ, то есть 40 одобрений, и постоянно, так сказать, то есть это не какой-то такой не жизнеспособный инструмент, это постоянно используемый ГАФИ инструмент в тех стратегических важных отраслях для Египта и представляющий собой важность. Почему? Потому что если инвестиция приходит на развивающуюся территорию Египта, да, то тогда больше шансов получить Golden License, потому что это будет способствовать развитию территории Египта.
Okay, so as for the investment schemes, we do have several schemes to accommodate all needs of the companies. First one is the free zone scheme, which is managed by GAFI itself. Well, as it says from the title, it is a free zone that is export oriented. So at least 80% of the production should be exported to other countries. Benefit from our FTAs. 0% or total exemption of customs and taxes. We currently have 9 public free zones in Egypt and over 200 projects in the private free zones. The public free zones are located in several governorates in Egypt with a total of almost 1,000 projects. The approvals for the free zones are granted through GAFI itself, which is better for companies for them to reduce the red tape. As for the technology zones, as it says from the title, it is dedicated only to technological companies or technological projects. And there are currently 3
sorry for
zones in
interrupting you.
Egypt.
I just want to highlight this slide in the Russian language because it was already many requests to clarify this scheme of functioning of free zones in Egypt. So let me just summarize it now. Поэтому у нас мы здесь видим 4 типа, скажем так, режима зон, разных зон в Египте. Мы видим фри-зоны, свободные зоны, где у нас 80% произведенной продукции должно идти на экспорт, и налоги составляют и 0%. И они делятся на 2 категории. Это публичные свободные зоны. Сейчас их 9 публичных свободных зон, в которых зарегистрировано 953 проекта, и частные зоны. Также мы видим technology zones, это технологические зоны, где их всего 3, и также нулевая ставка идет по пошлинам, по таможенным пошлинам на оборудование, которое нужно для производства в этих зонах. И также есть инвестиционные зоны, так называемые парки. Их нет в них никакого ограничения по экспорту. Их сейчас 16 инвестиционных зон, и в которых зарегистрировано 1365 проектов. И также у нас есть экономическая зона Суэцкого канала, которая... maybe I started to translate Suez Canal economic zone that you didn't mention yet. So maybe you can, continue and I will translate.
No, not yet.
Yes,
Okay.
not yet.
Okay. So the investment zones is another scheme for investment projects. It is for a smaller size projects, and we currently have 11 existing investment zones, which are almost entirely working or operating, with another 5 under construction. And all the approvals are granted through GAFI itself, which again cuts the red tape by so much. The last thing is, which I think many of the attendees are interested to know more about, is the Suez Canal zone. So let's first differentiate between the Suez Canal zone and the free zone, because there's always some mix-up between them. The free zones gives a total exemption on customs and taxes, but in the case of the Suez Canal zone, it gives only 50% of the tax and total exemption on the customs. The Suez Canal zone is under the jurisdiction of the Suez Canal Authority. Of course, we cooperate together all the time to ensure the welfare of companies. And I believe that someone from the SC zone was going to attend today, but maybe he didn't get a chance. The Suez Canal zone is as it in the Suez area, in the Suez Canal area, across Suez, Malé, and Port Said, with 4 industrial zones and 6 ports. They oversee 6 ports there. Because the Suez Canal zone, if someone doesn't know, it connects the Red Sea with the Mediterranean Sea. So this is perfect for export activities. And of course, if you want to import the raw material, this would be perfect as well. It is cluster-based, so there are several sectors that are there. As for, you can start translating.
И также мы видим зону, экономическую зону Суэцкого канала. Как мы знаем, Суэцкий канал, он соединяет и проходит, соединяет Красное море с Средиземным. Одна, скажем так, я думаю, что мы все знаем, что это основная транспортная артерия, так сказать, не только относящаяся к территории Египта, а относящаяся, в принципе, очень важная международная транспортная, логистическая, скажем так, развязка. И здесь мы видим, соответственно, нулевую ставку по таможенным пошлинам, по НДС и также 50% tax credit. Let me just, Mrs. A, can you please explain more on this tax credit 50%? So it's how it is working, this part? For me to
you benefit from 50% of the tax.
Tax credit, yes. Can you please elaborate more so I can translate?
No, not tax.
50%
of exemption of the taxes by 50%. So in the free zones case, it's 100% exemption, but in the SC zone, it's 50% exemption.
From taxes, you mean, right? Tax.
Yes.
И также еще, чем отличается зона Суэцкого канала, что здесь идет 50% по налогам, скажем так, освобождение от налога идет. И в самой экономической зоне Суэцкого канала зарегистрировано 4 промышленные зоны, и также там есть 6 портов. Aya, can you please go on?
Okay. So currently there are, as I said, 4 industrial zones: the Sukhna industrial zone, East Port Said, West Kantara, and East Ismailia zones.
And one second. And также у нас в Измаиле есть промышленная зона в Порт-Саиде и в Айн-Сохна. Это 3 города Египта.
So the SC zone has several developers working there to develop the land and give it ready for investment. No need for, preparing infrastructure or anything. And there are several, as I said, developers. For example, El Suidi, which is one of the very large companies in Egypt, is responsible for a plot in the SC zone. There are several sectors, as I said before, in the SC zone. For example, the construction material, chemicals and petrochemicals, heavy industries, and textile, home appliances, pharmaceutical sector, and logistics, of course.
В свободной экономической зоне Суэцкого канала располагаются различные отрасли, связанные со строительством, связанные с тяжелой индустрией, компании текстильные, то есть различный спектр компаний расположены.
Okay, so now we're going to walk through the investment journey of any company that wishes to expand their business in Egypt. So first of all, of course, they have a meeting with us for us to explain everything, which scheme will be best for their project, for their plan, which legal scheme would be perfect for them. We arrange everything if they would like to have meetings with other stakeholders, if they would like to check out the land plots, if they would like to assess anything prior to their decision making. We help them out with that. Of course, we would advise them to check our investment map website, which offers all the available opportunities, all the available investment opportunities in Egypt in one place, in one website, which is an interactive map. It offers like a holistic overview of every opportunity. You can browse by sector, you can browse by project size, you can browse by location, and you can also see the exact dimensions of the plot itself, the exact location of it. You can check out the nearest facilities for this plot. If you would like to, for example, start a project with a need of labor, a need for blue collar, you would need, of course, to have something proximate to, like a training center or a vocational training center or a university, if you would like. So you need to see if it's enough or not.
Сейчас мы видим перед нами слайд, очень важный.
Close to a port, you can also choose something through the map. With this, you reserve the opportunity for yourself.
И также видим сейчас мы перед нами последний слайд. Это фактически называется, скажем так, путешествие, упрощенная схема по инвестициям. Здесь мы видим, и есть такая опция, как учреждение компании в течение 2 часов, скажем так, по интернету через электронные средства. И сейчас на данный момент, if you have some point.
Of course, just one last thing to say is that I completely agree with what Mr. Ualikhanov mentioned a while back, that the intertrade or inter-investment between our two countries is less than what we would hope for, and this is what we are going to work on in the upcoming period to boost the investments, the buy investments between the two countries. Thank you so much.
Спасибо всем за участие. И now we have also our another speaker, and Dr. Muhammad will also introduce. We are honored actually to give floor to our next speaker, and
thank you very much, Ms. Aya, for the valuable information that you kindly provided. We truly appreciate it. Now we will give the speech to Mr. Terim Mola, the Executive Director of Asian Exporter Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And I'm sure that he will provide us with his insights about the investment in Egypt. And I'm sure also that he will give advice for all interested investors to start business in Egypt.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to extend my sincere thanks and welcome to all our trade representatives for joining and supporting us in this session on such short notices. But I hope all our esteemed trade representatives are doing well. I would like to introduce myself as the Executive Director of the Asian Exporters Chamber of Commerce and Industry. My name is Terim Mola, and by way of introduction to Asian Exporters Chamber of Commerce, I will say that it serves as a facilitator to its members, helping them expand their international business and enhance operational capacities across diverse Asian territories. And at AECCI, we have implemented several services to support the country's exporters and importers. So today, we are pleased to join.
Sorry to interrupt you, but you are talking very fast and impossible to translate. So maybe give me some time to translate, because it would be great for the Russian audience to get to know about the entities more. We will just make it the same thing as we did with previous speaker, like parts, not sentence by sentence, by parts by parts. И сейчас у нас спикер миссис Терим Мола, который является исполнительным директором Азиатской торговой палаты и промышленности. И она будет нам рассказывать и пояснит, какие вопросы, что происходит, когда индийские компании заходят на рынок Египта, basically about like Indian and Egypt, let's say, trade relations.
Okay, thank you. Today, we are pleased to join hands with the esteemed Sanzhar Khalifa Law Firm in Egypt for this insightful event. And my sincere thanks to Sanzhar Khalifa Law Firm for organizing this roundtable on investment opportunities and trade in the Arab Republic of Egypt. So thank you to our distinguished trade representatives and all other participants for joining us today. And we will now begin our discussion. And I will just take a moment to share my screen. Okay. So our presentation today is titled Investment and Trade Opportunities for Indian Companies in Egypt, its purposes and benefits. In this session, we will delve into various investment and trade opportunities available for Indian companies looking to set up or expand their business in Egypt. And we will explore the key purposes behind choosing Egypt as a strategic business hub and how this decision can significantly benefit their operations. Like from economic incentives to strategic advances, we will cover all the essential aspects that make Egypt an attractive destination for Indian enterprises. And just so you know, as a chamber in India, we are sharing our opinions on how Indian exporters can benefit in their business. Like my entire presentation from here on reflects our research, our thoughts, and our opinions for the esteemed exporters. And by the end of the presentation, the participants will have a clear understanding on why Egypt is an ideal location for the business ventures, and how you can leverage these opportunities to achieve greater success. Okay, let us just first address the important question, why Egypt? Like, why are Indian companies increasingly choosing Egypt as their base for manufacturing? And what are the purposes behind these setups? And how are their processes enhancing trade efficiency? So as per our research on this, we find a few benefits that are important for the enterprises, and we will just go through them one by one. Egypt's strategic location places at the heart of global trade routes, which makes it an ideal hub for international trade. And its location at the crossroads of Africa, Europe, and the Middle East are combined with a range of economic incentives and access to a significant market. And also its proximity to Suez Canal, one of the world's busiest maritime routes, it significantly reduces shipping times and cost for businesses. And these factors make Egypt an attractive destination for Indian companies looking to expand and optimize their operations. And next we have as economic incentives. Similar to the other region's government, the Egyptian government also wants other country to invest in Egypt. So they have made some special deals to encourage that. They offer things like tax breaks, which means companies don't have to pay as much in taxes. They also have other perks to help investors, like making it easier to start a business there. And these special rules are a part of Egyptian investment law number 72, as we have read. Next we have is new market access, like setting up businesses in Egypt gives companies direct access to a larger number of customers. And plus, Egypt is a key entry point to markets in Africa and the Middle East, which means there's a lot of room for growth. Next we have is cost-effective businesses Egypt offers a cost-effective business environment with a lower operational cost and compared to many other regions. And the availability of affordable labor and raw materials helps the cost efficiency or to save money for manufacturing units. And the lastly is that the Egyptian government is very supportive for businesses. They have made it easier for private companies to start and run in Egypt by simplifying the rules and regulations. And also we see that Egypt has signed many trade agreements with countries in Africa, Europe, and the Middle East, which makes trading easier and more favorable for businesses in Egypt. So these are some benefits.
Thank you so much. Let me just summarize, because the slide is very beautiful, and you know, it's visualize the benefits of Egypt as a jurisdiction. So let me translate it to the Russian companies and the attendees. И здесь мы видим, я думаю, всем понятно, ну, то есть можно это легко и внешне увидеть, стратегическое положение Египта, так же, как мы, только что предыдущий спикер с Гафи нам рассказал, есть экономические поощрения, скажем так, инвестиций, некоторые те инициативы правительства Египта, которые мы до этого в подробностях слышали. И также, так сказать, доступ на рынок не только Египта, но доступ на рынок ко всем африканским странам, потому что Египет находится на севере и внизу, соответственно, весь рынок Африки. И также он является, скажем так, cost-effective в том смысле, что доступный и рынок труда, и то есть можно будет сэкономить, скажем так, на зарплатах, то есть в целом страна не дорогая. И также есть поддержка правительства.
Okay, can I continue?
Yes, can you please go on? I translated this slide.
Okay, so these are some of the benefits that I thought should be included in my presentations, and they will also support my next slides. Now, after all of this information, the question is on our exporters' mind must be like, why are exporters choosing, or why will an exporter choose to establish their companies or factories in Egypt, and how does the establishment works? Okay, as we know, Indian companies that want to ship their products to European countries typically following a lengthy process. First, they import raw materials from the USA to India. Then they manufacture their goods in India and ship the finished products from India to Europe. This entire process can take around 60 to 90 days, depending on the production quantity, which is both time-consuming and costly. But however, to avoid these long shipping times and reduce cost, if an Indian company sets up a manufacturing unit in Egypt, the process becomes much more efficient. Like they can import raw materials from the USA directly to Egypt, manufacture the products there, and then ship them from Egypt to Europe. And this significantly reduces the time to around 22 to 45 days only, saving both time and cost. And additionally, there is no need for processing in India, as importation, production, and shipments are all handled in Egypt itself. And this way will stream all the productions and exports directly from Egypt.
Также одно из преимуществ, как мы видим, даже видно по расстоянию на карте, то есть если бы, например, производство было в Соединенных Штатах, если бы производство было бы в Европе, но когда, например, какая-то часть расположена в Египте производственного юнита, то идет и, соответственно, уменьшаются сами затраты на производство, уменьшаются затраты на логистику, и в целом является успешным, так сказать, проектом по реализации инвестиций.
Okay, so further to this, we have also interacted with some of the Indian companies operating in Egypt, and here we are, here are some of the companies I have listed who is running their operations smoothly there. These companies have leveraged Egypt's strategic advantages to optimize their operations and enhance their global trade efficiency. Like first is Tata Group. Of course, we all know that Tata Group has set up a significant manufacturing presence in Egypt, and particularly in the automotive and steel sectors. And their operations in Egypt help them cater to markets in Europe, Africa, and the Middle East more efficiently. Second is Mahindra & Mahindra. Like it is a major player in the automotive and agriculture sectors. Next is Ranbaxy Laboratories. It is now a part of Sun Pharmaceutical industry, but Ranbaxy has a pharmaceutical manufacturing unit in Egypt, which plays a crucial role in meeting the demands of the local market, as well as exporting to neighboring regions. Next, we have Hindustan Unilever. So Hindustan Unilever has set up manufacturing facilities in Egypt to produce consumer goods. And this helps them tap into growing consumer market in Egypt and export to surrounding countries as well. Next, we have is Galaxy Surfactants. Galaxy Surfactants is a leading manufacturer of surfactants and specialty chemicals, has a manufacturing facility in Egypt as well. And the strategic locations helps them cater to the demand in Africa and the Middle East to reduce the shipping cost and delivery times. Next, we have is Asian Paints. Asian Paints has established a manufacturing unit in Egypt to produce paints and coatings, and this facility helps them, of course, to serve the local market as well as an export to neighboring regions efficiently. Next, we have is Godrej Consumer Products. It has set up a manufacturing operation in Egypt to produce personal care and household products, and this helps them reach a wider consumer base in Africa and the Middle East. And lastly, we have is Sterling and Wilson's presence in Egypt, which aligns with the country's push towards renewable energy and infrastructure development. Their projects not only contribute to Egypt's energy goals, but also provide reliable and efficient solutions to various sectors, supporting overall economic growth. So like today, I'm honored to have representatives from two distinguished companies with us, Galaxy Surf Extents and Sterling and Wilson. Joining us from Galaxy Surf Extents is Mr. Dhaneshwar Patil. So, Mr. Dhaneshwar, could you please give us a 2-minute brief introduction of your company and yourself?
Hello.
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 Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Hello. Good afternoon. Good evening. I don't know if the people are in different time zones. So, firstly, thanks a lot for all the respected authorities for inviting me for this forum. So, just giving a brief introduction about Galaxy Chemicals. So we are a fully owned subsidiary of Galaxy Surfactants. We are in this business for last 33
Sorry for
years.
interrupting you. We'll just have to translate to the Russian language, so everybody knows about your company. Мы только что завершили презентацию миссис Терим, которая непосредственно говорила о тех компаниях, которые уже зарегистрированы в Египте со стороны Индии. Как мы видим, successful stories, то есть Египет непосредственно является местом инкорпорации компаний и для Индии, России, Казахстана, то есть фактически со всего мира. И сейчас у нас представители компании Galaxy, которые непосредственно расскажут свою историю становления в Египте. Thank you so much, and could you please...
So our journey to Egypt started almost 12 years ago. So that's when our first commissioning of the plant happened. Of course, the main reason for us to be in Egypt was because we have been exporting quite a big volume of surfactants in this part of the world. And one of the ways that we want to be closer to our customers, at the same time access different markets. So that is the reason we looked into the different, let's say, the economies around Egypt, and Egypt became our natural choice. I think most of the participants have explained why Egypt has been the natural. We are exporting at this moment to 80 plus countries. We are located in the public free zone in Suez, Taka free zone. So that makes our 12-year journey very fruitful. So do you want to translate that?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dhaneshwar
Let me
Patil.
just summarize. То есть компания учреждена в Суэц, в публичной свободной зоне, и компания существует 12 лет успешно. И какие-то если вопросы есть, то с радостью они ответят.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
so basically, just want to conclude it that the free trade agreement Egypt has, the geographical locations, as well as the main talent availability, that made our business case rock solid because we had all the people available in the country. We had all the free trade agreement. One of the free trade agreement which was not referred was also Mercosur, which also gives access to the Latin American countries from Egypt. So that made it possible for us to export to 80 plus countries. Egypt itself is a 100 million population. So for home and personal care segment makes it very attractive. And also access for Agadir Treaty with the North Africa. So makes it very interesting. And Gafi, I heard the interesting presentation on Gafi. So Gafi has been I always call them as a one-stop shop. So there has been the partner in that process for us to establish ourselves in Egypt. And they had played a fantastic role to make sure that all the new investors get a smooth landing from all over the place. So Gafi, thanks to Gafi as well to make this whole journey worthwhile.
Также представитель компании Galaxy благодарит Гафи за то сотрудничество, которое происходило по фасилитации, по облегчению инвестиций в Египте и то есть благодаря это то учреждение, благодаря которому идет упрощение коммуникации, вот в том числе между инвесторами и различными институтами в Египте.
So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dhaneshwar Patil, for your introduction. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Dia Eldin Sara Mustafa from Sterling and Wilson to give an introduction about their company and his role. So, Mr. Dia, the focus is yours for the next 2 minutes. Please begin.
Yeah, 2 minutes. I will not increase more than 2-3 minutes. Just my name is Dia Salah. I am the country manager for Shaporji Palonji and Sterling Wilson Group. Just I will share 2 minutes, one to know who's our group first, so that everybody know who are. We are one of the big Indian group in India, belong to the Mistry family and Durwala, where we do a lot of business. This business start from infrastructure in contracting MEP, in solar PV plant, in data centers, in industrial project. Through all this work, we expanded a lot in Africa and Middle East. So our journey in Egypt started in 2015 when government started the feed-in tariff for renewable energy. At that time, our mother company, Shaporji Palonji, came to Egypt and they invest $100 million in one of the solar PV plant in Aswan. So they submitted to Ministry of Electricity. They established a company and through Gafi, and then they acquired the land and they invested the project. I also worked with EBRD and IFC. After establishing this project, we as Sterling Wilson, we came to Egypt and we started construction for this project and also for other developers. The big developer, local developer in Egypt like Taka, Sweden, we are their EPC technology provider for their plant. So after the success of the feed-in tariff in Egypt, we started doing our business in data center. We built a lot of data center in Egypt, working with the Ministry of Communication and Telecom Egypt. And we built the biggest data center in Egypt, and we were the preferred contractor doing this project in Egypt. After that,
sorry for interrupting you. Let me just translate into Russian because information is very interesting and inspiring for other investors. И сейчас у нас перед нами другой представитель, еще представитель компании с Индии, которая инвестировала в область, которая называется Асван, тоже находится на юге Египта, и они занимаются различными, так сказать, то есть диверсифицированные инвестиции, и одна из которых в производство солнечных панелей, установку, и также есть различные информационные центры по всей территории Египта и строительство. То есть, okay, could you please continue?
Yeah. So through all this trip, 10 years in Egypt, now we faced for sure a lot of obstacles because we are a contractor and developer. So we faced the problem of many times shortage of US dollar. We are pushing now with the embassy for signing the foreign trade agreement where we can directly between Egypt and India trade with EGP and the Indian rupee. Or we can use it through BRICS. We are forcing this because this definitely will increase our work in Egypt. Even through all the last year, because we are mainly contractor, also many opportunity we apologize because of the shortage of US dollar. But right now the situation is going more better. And what is interesting in Egypt that we are using, like the Gafi and the other people, a hub for Middle East. We are now using many local resources from Egypt. We are expanding to Saudi Arabia. We have all the engineering work done from Egypt. Even we are transfer our people from here to Saudi Arabia. Even we are doing a lot of work here rather than India with a cheaper price from Egypt. So Egypt is mainly now, like other gentlemen said, they are a hub for other Middle East and Africa, where we are using from Cairo, Egypt here. We are doing all the business now, not from headquarters from India, because Egypt here is facilitating many things, especially also we have in Egypt some trade agreement between Egypt and some African countries through quiz. So from this, we are using this in some project in Africa where we can purchase a product from Egyptian market here and export it to Africa without paying customs. because this is very important in many areas, many countries like Kenya, Tanzania. So we are using Egypt here, as the gentleman said, as a hub for other Africa and Middle East project also. You can translate now.
Thank you so much for this valuable presentation. And, there is a connecting point. We're also expanding to Saudi Arabia and just opened our new office there. And let me translate to the Russian language because the topics mentioned are very important, especially that Egypt, that you already availed the opportunity of a trade agreement of Egypt with other African countries. So this mechanism is working. I will translate it to the Russian companies to know about this. И также мы вот сейчас недавно обсудили, что вот спикер с компании сказал нам, что когда они расширялись в другие страны, на рынки других африканских стран заходили, также еще есть механизм, когда Египет подписал торговые соглашения, есть какие-то преимущества по компаниям, что дает преимущество компании, которые учреждены на территории Египта, и в частности с некоторыми странами возможно нулевая таможенная пошлина. То есть есть те преимущества, которые дает, скажем так, сеть договоров, ряд договоров, с которыми которые подписал Египет с другими странами. Это будет наша отдельная заключительная тема выступления. И сейчас у нас осталось 2 презентации на сегодня. Thank you so much for such, again, valuable presentations. And let me now give the floor to my colleague, Mr. Moheb, who will tell us more, and we have slides translated into Russian, so we will see if there is a need to translate it or not, because every paragraph mentioned that will be mentioned is translated into Russian, because it's a burning topic of incorporation of the companies, and especially you will not get bored because immigration will be also handled. This is, I think, presentation number 1 of the 2 days roundtable. So please, Moheb, can you introduce yourself and give your presentation?
Okay, firstly, I'm Moheb Mu'taz Kamil, associate at the Immigration and Business Law Department. It's our pleasure to have you in our roundtable, and I want to thank all the attendees that attended our roundtable. Okay, now I will try to share the screen for our presentation. Okay. Now our presentation is about the incorporation of companies and the immigration law in Egypt. We'll provide you with a brief for the most common type of companies that most of our clients trying to incorporate. We can start with the joint stock company. The joint stock companies, the minimum partners or shareholders in the joint stock companies are 3. And the minimum capital is 2,500 Egyptian pounds. And the capital of the company should be deposited in 3 times. First time, we should deposit 10% of the company's capital at the time of incorporation of the company. And within 3 months, the capital deposit should be increased to 25%. And within 5 years, the capital of the company should be deposited in full. And the second type of company is the limited liability companies. The minimum number of shareholders in these companies are 2, and no minimum capital are required. You can have any amount of capital, and it's not required to be deposited. And third type of companies is the one-person company. The one-person company, it's from its name, it could be owned by one person, and the minimum capital of this company is 1,000 Egyptian pounds, and it should be paid in full before incorporating the company. This is a small brief about the types of companies, and we can now go with the new importation resolution that issued by the Egyptian government last year. The number of this resolution is 173. It was issued on 2023, and this resolution was issued for amending the Article 2.2 of Law number 120 issued on 1982 for amending the shareholders percentage in the companies that will practice the import activity. The article number 121 of the law number 1982 was stating that the company that will practice the import activity should be owned by 51% by Egyptians and 49% by foreigners. And the issued resolution by the Egyptian law last year was for amending this article, and now the companies could be owned 100% by foreigners in order to import to practice the import activity. And now for the conditions for obtaining the importation license, the company commercial register should have the importation activity annotated in its commercial register and its in its tax card. And the paid-up capital should equal 2 million Egyptian pounds. It should be deposited before submitting the application of registering in the import registry. And now the company did that the company is owned by 100% by foreigner, and the cash deposit should be deposited in the bank as a guarantee, and it's 2,100 Egyptian pounds. And the manager who is responsible for the importation should be Egyptian. And I can let Dr. Olga to translate and summarize the information that provided by me.
Thank you so much. This is, I think, a very important topic, and especially concerning the importation requirements, потому что сейчас те компании, которые занимаются импортом, непосредственно им как бы то количество, то есть иностранного, скажем, местного, я прошу прощения, участия, то есть должен быть египетское участие в компании в размере 51%. Сейчас требуется только те компании, которые занимаются импортом, то есть допускается и полноценное участие со стороны иностранного капитала, ну, к примеру, российского, если это российская компания, и требуется только, чтобы человек, который занимался импортной деятельностью, имел гражданство Египта. And I think now we are going to the immigration part.
Okay, can now start. Okay, we can now start the immigration part. In order to obtain a residence permit and work permit in Egypt, it's the most important topic that every investor is inquiring for, because it's allowing them to enter and out Egypt without any visas or without any permissions. We can start with the shareholders and the managers of the companies. The companies that incorporated under the law number 159 of 1981. In this law stated that the companies who want to have a residence permit and work permit for their managers or shareholders, then the company's capital should equal $35,000 in order to obtain residence permit and work permit for one shareholder. And for two shareholders or manager, the company's capital should be $50,000 US dollars. It could be for two shareholders and three shareholders or manager, no problem. And the company's capital should equal 100,000 US dollar in order to obtain residence permit and work permit from 5 to 6 resident shareholders or managers. And now for the companies that incorporated under the investment law number 72 of 2017, this is different from the other law. So the company's relative weight should equal 30% in order to have one residence permit for one shareholder. In this type of companies, in order to obtain the residence permit and work permit, the manager should be a shareholder. It's different from the other the company's law. So, and the company's relative weight is being rated based on its activity, its title, its address, and the number of Egyptian employees that are working in the company and insured in the company's social insurance office. And now Dr. Olga can translate this in order to reach the figure.
Thank you so much for this valuable presentation. I just would like to ask you, because to make clear, and before preparing for the roundtable, we were discussing it before, to make clear, so the people can also deposit, right, to make some deposits to get this like permission to stay in Egypt, right? So no need for example.
Yes, this is on my last slide. I was to tell it in my last
It's like
slide.
our secret, not a secret, but
Yes.
let's make it
Yes.
more opportunities for Egypt. Yes, so you can just...
Yes, they can obtain the residence permit only by depositing this amount, not work permit. I'm talking now about work permit and residence permit.
Okay, so let us concentrate now on these two issues. И сейчас мы понимаем, что мы говорим о разных, о резиденциях, вид на жительство и на разрешение на работу. So now it's very important to differentiate between work permit and residence permit, right? So can you please summarize how people can immigrate to Egypt, and if the Russian companies would like to immigrate,
okay,
what they should follow the steps?
Okay, like what I said, if you have two laws in order to follow to have the work permit and residence permit. The company's law number 159 issued on 1981, and it's concerning the company's capital. The company's capital is $35,000, then obtain residence permit for one shareholder. And if it $50,000 US, you could obtain residence permit and work permit from 2 to 3 shareholders, and if it will be 100,000 US dollar, it will be from 5 to 6. And for the investment law, it will be calculated based on the company's weight, the economic weight of the company, and it's being calculated based on the company's activity and the Egyptian employees, the address of the company, the deposited capital. The company reached 30% of its relative weight. You can one residence permit and one work permit for the
Let me have interrupt you here, because it's a new concept that we discussed also when we were preparing the slides, because we are happy to make this roundtable, and we are here for you, so we should make everything clear and understandable about the relative weight of the company. То есть Мухеб только что нам пояснял, что у нас есть 159-й закон от 1981 года, да, который регулирует company's law. Мухеб, can you please just go back to the slides where we have law 159? То есть здесь зависит у нас то количество, скажем так, разрешений на работу можно будет получить в зависимости от капитала компании. То есть если капитал компании увеличивается, соответственно, у нас есть 35 тысяч долларов, да, предположим, там 50 и 100, то, соответственно, можно будет получать сразу автоматически разрешение на работу, соответственно, для большего количества людей. И company's relative weight – это та концепция, скажем так, которая maybe you can come back to the relative weight of the company slide. И здесь мы видим концепция экономической эффективности, то есть концепция, которая ввело ГАФИ для того, чтобы оценить, скажем так, жизнеспособность экономической компании, и поэтому она включает в себя 3 подпонятия. Это деятельность компании, насколько вовлечены сотрудники территории Египта в деятельность компании, и, соответственно, также адрес, по которому компания осуществлена.
Okay. And now we can go for the work permit and residence permit for the shareholders and not the management.
Right?
Yes. For the employees, the foreign employee that will be in the company. Okay. Now for issuing work permits and residence permit for the expert, the company should have 2 important files. The first file in the social insurance authority in order to have insured Egyptians, because the Egyptian law in between the expats and the Egyptian employees should be 1 to 10%, i.e., in order to appoint 1 expat, the company should have 10 insured Egyptian employees. And to have 2 expats, the company should have 20 insured Egyptian employees, and so on. So the social insurance file is very important. And the second file is on the ministry, to have a file in the Ministry of Manpower in order to submit the approval admissions and issue the work permits from the said ministry. And the company should submit the approval admission in the Ministry of Manpower in order to have their security code, and that then the expats could enter Egypt and do the HIV test in order to issue the 1-year work permit and the 1-year residence permit. And the most important thing, that the expats should have a certificate of experience with at least 3 years of work experience. Yes, you can translate this, and then we can go to the last slide.
All the Russian translations you can see below. То есть все переводы мы видим внизу, поэтому только что мы проговорили о получении разрешения на работу для экспатов. Maybe you can please continue to the last part.
Okay. And now there is a new regulation issued in 2023, number 977. It's for residence permit only, for the work permits, and it's for the real estate residence permit. If any foreigner wants to have a residence permit in Egypt without having to work or to issue the work permit, yes, they could purchase an apartment in Egypt.
So, если вы хотите просто приехать в Египет и просто получить, так сказать, какие-то преимущества, вы просто можете приобрести недвижимость. And also we have a department on real estate, so if someone would like to use this path of coming and getting resident permit, we will be happy to assist.
Without having
the work permit, so I think it's a very attractive option if you want to make it smooth and fast and easy. And we have the last, did you finish or you want to summarize?
No, I want to mention 3 parts. You have 3 options. The first one, to obtain the 5-year residence permit, and it's for purchasing an apartment. It should be equal to $200,000. And to get the 3 years residence permit, the apartment should equal $100,000. And to have the 1-year residence permit, the apartment should equal $50,000. Okay, and the second option that you already mentioned, that you can deposit money in the Egyptian banks in order to have the residence permit without doing anything, without purchasing or incorporating a company or being an expert. The first option, to have the 3 years residence permit, you should deposit in an Egyptian bank an amount equal $100,000 to have to issue the 3 years residence permit. And to have the 1-year residence permit is the second option, to deposit the $50,000. After you want to stop obtaining the Egyptian residence permit, draw this amount from the same bank. And now I can move the torch to Dr. Olga, and our next colleague, to continue the presentation. Thank you so much.
Very burning and important topics of incorporation, immigration, and the residence permits. And all the slides, can you please have a look, are translated into Russian language. So because we are running out of time, so that's why we would like to save your time and our time. So please follow the slides. And now we are coming to our last 2 presentations. Another burning topic that participants ask us to go through, it's made in Egypt trademark requirements. So we will now see it soon on the screen. And Dr. Muhammad was introducing this very, very important topic in the beginning, mentioning that there are 2, let's say, that we should differentiate between 2 things. The first is made in Egypt, like certificate, and proudly made in Egypt certificate. We are now, in a few seconds, we'll see it on the screen, also translated into Russian language, so I will not repeat myself. what was important is to understand that it's two different requirements, and when and recently, just yesterday, we were invited to participate as speakers in the Russian business mission, and Dr. Mohammed also clarified it yesterday. That of course we will be happy to assist you in all your legal requests, like incorporation of the companies. And a very important point here, it's the questions we already received. It's the amount of the local requirement component. And here we see on the first slide that we have here, we don't have here no fixed percentage. И здесь мы внизу видим очень важное, так сказать, различие, что между двумя сертификатами сделано в Египте и с гордостью сделано в Египте. И у нас, когда нас постоянно спрашивают, какая доля местного составляющая, то она не фиксированная. И здесь мы видим, что для получения промышленности, то есть фраза «сделана в Египте», я зачитаю слайд, может быть только тогда использована, скажем так, напечатана на продукции после получения регистрации в промышленном реестре. Для получения промышленной регистрации надо указать необходимый процент местных компонентов из Египта в продукции. Процент определяется исходя из наличия в продукции местного компонента. Другими словами, то есть не существует фиксированного процента, поэтому если может происходить такое, что нет на рынке местного компонента, ну, то, предположим, какой-то продукт, да, и тогда, получается, то есть будет плавающее это соотношение. Если продукт будет составлять, к примеру, 10 компонентов, причем не менее 30% этих компонентов будут закуплены в Арабской Республике Египет, да, тогда иностранная составляющая в этой продукции не должна превышать 70%. Что касается сделано в Египте, то она относится больше как к стандартам качества, и поэтому если производитель соответствует требованиям качества, да, то Центр промышленной модернизации выдает соответствующую сертификацию. And now also we'll go through the slides, not every slide, but just scroll it down, because this already was mentioned by Dr. Mohammed in the beginning. So maybe we can go through these slides, because I can't make it from here. Just scroll it down. Just show the slide for participants to read. And also now we are coming to our last presentation, and it was already mentioned by previous speaker from India, Mr. Shihab will elaborate more on the opportunities that Egypt can avail. Why? Because if you're incorporating a company in Egypt, as was mentioned already, it's a viable opportunity. You can also avail yourself of other treaties that was concluded by Egypt. So Mr. Shihab will introduce himself. Also, the slides are below in the Russian language, and we will make summary in Russian. And after this presentation, Mr. Mohammed will do the closing remarks.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon for all. I'm very happy today to join with you this very important and special roundtable. I'm Shahabuddin Ismail. I'm an international dispute resolution lawyer, and I'm very happy today to be part of this very special and very unique roundtable, grouping many parts and many representatives from many regions around the world. I'm part of the dispute resolution department and arbitration and PIL team, and I will be very happy today to discuss one of the very important topics. It could be not covered well in many other sessions or tables, and I will be very happy to discuss it as the benefits of Egypt as a jurisdiction of law. We have made many other issues to cover by all our colleagues and all the great attendees today. and I will be very happy to start my presentation to cover just two simple issues and very important topics to discuss. I will be sharing now the screen with you all, and I will be very happy to have the help of Dr. Olga if needed, to have some recaps and summaries. She also helped in providing translation on the official presentation that I started. And I will be just starting right now by having the first part, which is the protection of Egypt as a jurisdiction of law. We have touched this topic in many parts, as Mr. Diak just go to one of the many important issues, as well as many other participants today. Egypt could be very interesting and competitive as a matter of business and commerce, as you all previously stated. However, one of the very important things that we would like and shall give in a good part of our discussion is Egypt as a jurisdiction of law. And we will be focusing just on the the last few years. And we can say just in the last few decades, Egypt was part of many of the multilateralism work in the international community in general. My presentation will be focusing just on two important things. The first one is Egypt as a protective jurisdiction of law. And the second one is the benefits of having multilateral and bilateral affairs and works with all the international community. Firstly, we have to note as that Egypt is very special jurisdiction of law, and this is a historical part of it. Egypt was primarily part of all international and multilateral works and efforts with all our partners and friends and countries around the world. Egypt started to be one of the very beginning nations to collaborate with the international community. Egypt is part of the International Center for Settlement of International Dispute. Egypt is part of the Arab Investment Agreement, which is provide protection for all Arab members investing in Egypt. Egypt is part of more than, in force now, more than 60 or 70 investment treaty. In total, we have signed more than 100, which is a huge number and cannot be found in many other places. So many investors around the world could be protected under even a BIT or a MIT, or even under one of the international and regional treaties that we are part of. Egypt has one of the oldest arbitration center in the region. Egypt has the oldest codified laws in the region. Egypt has the most stable jurisdictional capability within the entire region. It's very important to go after to one of the very important benefits that we have touched in a part during the last session that we started, which is the trade and customs treaty signed by Egypt. We have noted, and it just said in brief, and Ms. Aya, just representative of Gafi, had just mentioned that the number of 1.2 billion of customers around the globe that we can reach, and we can be more and more. And Mr. Diak has mentioned the trade conventions, and Mr. Ashish referred us to the BRICS. And in this regard, I'm very happy, and I have to mention and discuss with you the most important treaties that we are part of it and could provide benefits that cannot be found elsewhere in the world. Firstly, Egypt as a very active part in the international community is part, of course, of the WTO and the GATT treaty. Furthermore, Egypt is part of the, it's called GAFTA also, but it's not the GAFTA that you may come in your mind firstly. It's the Greater Arab Free Trade Area. Egypt is part of the COMESA, the Common Market of Eastern and Southern Africa. Egypt part of Agadir Free Trade Agreement, which is covered North Africa. Egypt part has a very special and unique treaty with the European Union, which is the Egypt-EU Association, an agreement. Egypt part of the European Free Trade Agreement that include more countries than the Council of the EU. Furthermore, Egypt has some bilateral trade agreement like the Turkey trade agreement. Furthermore, Egypt has another agreement could be 4 places in the region, which is the Latin America. We have the Mercosur free trade agreement, which is provide many countries in the Latin America, and many others. It's very important to know that with the BRICS and with taking into consideration the benefits of commerce and incorporation and the business and the location of Egypt as a very competitive location, it's very important also to know the benefits of Egypt as a jurisdiction. We have just mentioned the Made in Egypt products, and we just listen to the Egyptian companies in Egypt and all provisions related to. So it's very important to know the benefits of an Egyptian company or a company who established in Egypt in benefiting in the jurisdiction of Egypt and the treaties that Egypt is part of. The 2 parts that I would like to highlight is the protection of Egypt as a jurisdiction and the benefits of Egypt as a jurisdiction who made a very unique and a very complicated and very divergent scale of international and regional trade and customs treaties. I'm very happy طبعا to
We just would like to summarize
Yes,
if it's needed, because again I would like to highlight that all the slides that Mr. Shihab was demonstrating to us are available in the Russian language, and как мы знаем, то есть и уже об этом упоминали наши коллеги до этого на круглом столе, что те товары, которые то есть есть преимущество Египта как юрисдикции, и те товары, которые произведены в Египте, могут, и те компании, которые учреждены на территории Египта, могут воспользоваться теми преимуществами, которые у нас Египет заключил те договора с другими странами. So basically, again, we are thank you so much for this valuable presentation that was just coming to the mind of Mr. Shihab just recently, because again we are growing with the growing of our participants, because the more requests we have, the more round table we will be happy to make, because to accommodate the needs and questions and information from all our attendees. And now our managing partner, Mr. Mohammed Rabi, will summarize and make closing remarks for this event today.
Thanks, Dr. Olga. Thanks, Mr. Shihab. Thanks all the speaker and all attendees. We really appreciate the attendance of all attendees, and we really thank them for sharing their thoughts in this roundtable. And we hope that all attendees get new information about how they could invest in Egypt, how they could start business in Egypt. And as I mentioned in the beginning, our firm will be more than happy to receive any inquiries from any company or even from any trade representative to reply to their inquiries. Thanks for all, and we hope that we'll have another roundtable in the near future, and we'll make sure that we will share all the presentation with all attendees so they can deeply read it, and we are waiting for their inquiries to reply to their inquiries accordingly. Thanks.
Спасибо всем большое за участие. И как только что мы упоминали, все спикеры сделали очень ценные презентации. И I think, Dr. Mohammed, if the companies do not have like the burning questions, we can ask and shift questions and answer sessions to do it by emails, right? So if they have any inquiries, please confirm that they can send it to our email, whatever Russian or English.
Yeah. I'm going to write down now our email address. Okay, so to all attendees.
Or we can put the slide of the one of the presentations, because every presentation, including
yes,
our contact.
Mohab, please do it.
Mohab, now we will share the slide. Mohab сейчас поделится слайдом, где вы увидите все контакты, WhatsApp и электронную почту, с которой мы с вами можем связаться. Thank you so much for today, and for the attendees and for the speakers. Thank you so much for today.